Hare Krishna. Okay. Yeah. So thank you all for joining for this morning chanting and shloka recitation session. We'll begin with our obeisances, our prayers to the beautiful deities of Sri ISKCON Jagannath Mandir, Sri Shadripuram. बलदेवा प्रभु की जय, सुभद्रा महारानी की जय, लॉर्ड जगन्नाथ की जय, गौरनताय की जय, पंचतत्व की जय, लॉर्ड वामन देव की जय, लॉर्ड परशुरामा की जय, गुरु परंपरा की जय. हरे कृष्णा. We'll say our prayers. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चातदेशतारणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are in chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. So Krishna is slowly introducing different yoga systems to Arjuna. So now we are in Dhyana Yoga. So Arjuna is asking questions, Lord Krishna is answering, so that all his doubts are removed. Arjuna's all his doubts are removed, which are causing hindrance in his performing his duty. Okay, so shloka, we will read shloka 6.6. Bandhur atma atmanas tasya yena atmanaiva atmana jitaha anatmanas to shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. Translation: for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So this is something we have heard in our daily material life also. As children, we used to hear, and as grown-ups, we are hearing it. We know that we experience things with our mind. So for him who has conquered his mind, the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Right. Okay. So let's. So we have already in this particular chapter. This is a. We have already got to know from the previous 5 shlokas that initially it spoke about the eightfold yoga system, dhyana yoga, dhyana being one of the stages of eightfold yoga system. And we have heard about other systems also. We got to know about Sankhya Yoga, little bit about Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga a little bit, and so now Dhyana Yoga. And in this, what we heard from the previous few shlokas is that we have to raise ourselves to the spiritual standard by ourselves, right? So we have this opportunity in which we can either prove to be our own friend, or we can prove to be our own enemy. And here we just mentioned about in the previous shlokas, it's like with the help of mind we experience this. And so if I deal with myself inimically, then my relationship is inimical. And if I act or deal with myself as friend, then my relationship is that of a friend. The friendship is that I am soul. This so when we prove that we are friendly with ourselves. We prove to be our own friend when we know that I am soul. When we know this. So, and that somehow or other I have come in contact with this material nature, and ever since that I've been struggling with myself, trying to get out of this entanglement of this material nature. And if I act in that way, then I am my real friend. I'm my friend. So we can, but after getting this human birth, after getting this opportunity, or by having all this knowledge, if we do not act in that way, then I am still my enemy, right? So conclusion of the previous shlokas is that either I am my friend or I am my enemy. So how can I become my friend? So this is explained in the shloka when we say Bandhur Atma Atmanas Tasya. Atma means mind, Atma means body, Atma means soul. So depending on our realization or person's realization, Atma can be said to be one of these things. So if somebody is on the gross bodily platform or gross bodily conception of life, a person thinks of his, all in all, he thinks that body is his very self. And he does everything for just for the body, for the sense gratification of the body. So when one transcends this bodily conception of life, then the person thinks that I'm the mind, right? So that is his, that is his mind. He takes his mind to be his self. So that is mental platform. But when one person transcends even this, and he goes to the, reaches the, on the real spiritual platform, he or she realizes that he is, that his or herself means that I'm pure spirit. That is, I'm pure spirit soul. So according to the stage of development, conception of self is different. So thus one takes at different stages, one takes body, mind, or soul to be self. But top is spirit soul. One knows that his self is the spirit soul. Everything is called self. In that, otherwise everything is self. So, but understanding that he is the spirit soul is, um, he is seeing his real self. He is experiencing his real self. So now here, Bandhur Atma Atmanas Tasya. Now here, one Atma is, one taking a, one is saying that Atma is his mind. So Atma here is named as mind. Mind is the friend of oneself, and mind is the enemy of oneself. So we have to train the mind. So if I train my mind in becoming my friend, then my life is successful. Else, if I don't train, if I train my mind to become my enemy, then my life is unsuccessful. That is when I get into sense gratification. I'm using my mind in those inimical things, that my life is unsuccessful. Else, if I use everything my mind, I train my mind to become my friend, then my life is successful. When I properly engage my mind in spiritual. So next, Atmanas tu shatrutve vartetatmeva shatruvat. But one who has got the conception of this body as myself, and one has no knowledge of the spirit self, then his mind acts as his enemy. And one who has got the conception of the spirit self, he has this knowledge, and then his mind is his friend. So it is all about simply training of the mind required. And by this knowledge, by getting this knowledge, we are doing this training. So how can we actually train our mind? We can train the mind simply by good association. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Kama means desire, and desire is a function of the mind. So Srila Prabhupada beautifully explains this. So our mind desires according to the association it gets, right? Uh, we understand this. We are who we hang out with. We are also know that we are what we eat, and we are who we hang out with. So what is happened when we have the association? So when we take good association, if we want to make our mind as my friend, then it is mandatory that we associate with the sadhu or sadhus. Tasmat satsu sajyate buddhiman. Buddhiman means intelligent person. That intelligent person who is interested in training his mind to becoming his friend must associate with satsu. Satsu means those who are trying for self-realization. So these people are already in that process of self-realization, trying for that. They are called Sat. Sat and Asat, we know that Asat means those who are trying for the material temporary things. Matter is temporary, and my body is made up of this matter, so it is temporary. So if I simply engage myself for bodily pleasure or sense gratification, material sense gratification, then I'm engaging myself in temporary things. So these all prove to be inimical. So it's like training the mind to become an enemy. Else, if I engage my mind in becoming, training my mind in becoming a friend, so I take good association of people who are already in this process of self-realization. Because with their association, we get knowledge, right? How to do. So, it's like this. But if I engage myself for self-realization, and because self or spirit soul is spiritual and eternal, so it is, and it is permanent thing, then I'm engaging myself to the Sat, or to the permanent. So anyone who is intelligent, he should associate with persons who are trying to elevate themselves for self-realization. This is called satsanga, or good association. And what is the association? What is the result of good association? By taking good association, santa chindanti. Santaha means the persons who are sadhu, pious. They, what happens is, they can cut off by their words our attachment or ties with this material world. So this is the result. And just like here in this, the purpose of Lord Krishna speaking to so many things to Arjuna is to cut off Arjuna's attachment from the so-called material affection. So Arjuna, because of his material affection, he had so many doubts and he was not able to perform his dharma. So Lord Krishna, by giving his knowledge, and here we can understand that Arjuna has association of Lord Krishna, and he's getting the knowledge from Lord Krishna, who is Bhagwan Swayam. So because Arjuna is affected with something which is proving to be a stumbling block in his progress, in him performing his own duty, dharma. So Lord Krishna is giving this knowledge. Therefore, Lord Krishna is presenting this eternal and spiritual Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, so that he can cut off Arjuna's attachment to the material affection, to this mind, the conception of this attachment he has because of his mind with its fellow beings, or material things, or his relationship. He's thinking others to be that he's having affection or attachment to other people, the opposition, the Kauravas, and things like that. So santa eva hi chindanti uktibhi. So chindanti means cut, and now for cutting something we require sharp instrument, but here to cut off the mind from attachment, it requires sharpened ukti. Ukti means words, so sharpened topics. So therefore, just like when person cuts something, there is no mercy. Similarly, when a sadhu or a saintly person speaks to his student, he does not show any mercy. He speaks what is the truth, and because he speaks the truth, so that the student's mind may be cut off from the unreal or material attachment, right? So we're getting this knowledge from Bhagavad Gita also, and when we hear it from the Guru, it serves the same purpose, or when we hear it from the sadhu, it serves the same purpose. So in the beginning, the Lord Krishna spoke to Arjuna using very strong words. He said, asocyan anyashochas tvam pragya vadamscha bhasase. So this is in second chapter. Oh, you are talking like a very learned man, but you are fool number one. So this is what Srila Prabhupada translates. So Lord Krishna did not show any mercy. He was very strong with his words. He spoke the truth. So therefore, to Arjuna, because Arjuna is his student, so therefore, if we also want detachment from the material world, then we should be prepared to accept such sharp cutting words from the master. So we should not make compromise. Uktibhi. Oh, don't speak such strong words. It is required. Otherwise, we'll continue to maintain our bondage to these material, sense gratificatory things, and it will not serve the purpose in self-realization. So, anatmana, those who have no self-realization, that person's mind, one who has not realized, so he's still in the bodily conception of life. So generally, we are in this bodily conception of life, right? But the intelligent person who has made association with saintly persons, he can understand that I am not this body, or he will certainly at a certain, if he continues gradually, he will reach the state where he will know that I am not this body. So this is what the association of sadhus does. We get this knowledge. Yeah, and the material conception is. And the material conception of life is condemned in so many other places throughout the scriptures. So yeah, that is how it is. Some places it is said that those who have this conception of this personal self with this body made of the three elements, and then one who thinks that the land in which he is born or the relatives who is connected with this body, and if we just consider this to be, he gives primary importance to all these things, and he considers his personal self to be these things, his attachment to these things, then such people, are compared to ass and cows. Yeah, so in many places in scriptures this is mentioned. So conclusion is that we should have good association, and by good association we also mean by study of the good books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So we know that people who are taken to this path of self-realization or spiritual realization, they are already in this process, and they have this knowledge, they share this knowledge, and they're very straightforward in they express the truth. So sometimes that we might find them to be merciless when they are choosing words, but that is how it is. Truth is truth. So we should realize ourselves by using these scriptures and by association of these sadhus, devotees. Otherwise, our mind will always remain our enemy, and as the enemy is always prepared to do harm, so our mind will always drag us to things, material sense gratificatory things, which will make us further more entangled in the material conception of life, or this material miserable life. So we are already struggling very hard with this mind and our six senses. So we have to train our mind to become our friend, and we train our mind by association of sadhus, because they will share the knowledge, the truth from the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and they will help us get out of this material sense gratificatory life, and we will progress in the then we will reach a stage of self-realization. We will see ourselves to be our soul, the spiritual self. So this is how we make our mind our friend, and this is what Lord Krishna is doing by telling all this to Arjuna. He's gradually making progress in to explain to Arjuna that how the mind can be made friend. So we have seen few other yoga systems. We are hearing about dhyana yoga, and further we will get to know more in deep into um, devotional service, how to achieve, how to do the direct yoga, which is bhakti yoga, devotional service. So that is perfection. So thank you very much for joining.